You're listening to the greatest multifamily investment advice show. My name is Adam Ross, and now I'm talking everything multifamily for an in-depth conversation, and I will be diving deep into raising capital, deals, and underwriting process. Welcome back to the greatest multifamily advice show. Today we have Aditya Kumar, real estate investor and realtor out of Windsor region of Ontario. Impressive story starting from international student to real estate investor and realtor, focusing on scaling his portfolio in Ontario, high-performing realtor, closing hundreds and hundreds of deals. How are you, Aditya?
Doing fantastic, Adam. Thank you. How are you?
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for being with us today, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks a lot. I think you, as a starting point here is far from you as a realtor on Windsor Market. I would like to start with your beginning, especially that you came as an immigrant, as a student, and fantastic job on the last couple of years.
Sure, definitely. Yeah. Again, personally, I started as an investor first. I didn't. Realtor is a thing that happened just as a natural progression. But I started as an investor, and I claim myself as an investor first.
So, what was the beginning for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, the biggest thing was I came as a student with a lot of debts. My family is a farmer's family from a small village in India. So they worked super hard to help me for my fees, but they didn't have financial stability. So they had to borrow money for my education. So it was my job to pay back. And that was a lot of interest, like 24% interest a year at that time for studies. So that, keep on growing, the debts were growing. When I was a student, I couldn't get a part-time job because my college was, the course was made such a way that, there is no time for part-time work. So the interests were growing, and after studies I got into IT as a programmer. And so again, that was a struggle to get into IT because new country, new way of dealing. But again, thank God got into IT. But the pain of financial situation, to get rid of the debts and have a little bit more freedom, because my parents are in the village and they never traveled anywhere. I want them to, come to Canada, stay with me for a while. And I want to travel more. But all those things are seems like a dream while I was working full time, because paycheck is going off. Like I was making 80,000 per year after taxes. In hand, it was like 4,400, and paying the rent and car payment and groceries. And, it's pretty much, I was left like $1,000. I'm like, if I have to pay, by then I had like 50,000 debt from my education. To pay that debt, it took me 2 to 3 years. Literally, I was living very frugally. Even then, it took me 2 years plus to pay that debt.
Yeah.
So, and by then I had my family responsibilities that is coming up, due my sister's wedding back home. It's quite expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
So my dad already told me, you have to be prepared for another 100,000. That is coming in a year or so. So I'm like, so
come on,
couple of years to pay off the 50,000. That means how many years would it take me to pay this 100,000? So that's when I was always like, I want something better in my life. If I don't do it, my whole family will suffer, because if we lived, my dad and mom, they worked hard like they're throughout their life, but they never had a better life. Like we were always apart because of the financial pain.
Yeah.
So I always wanted a better financial life. So I was trying different things while I was working full time. I was driving Uber, doing pizza deliveries. I was doing e-commerce. I tried e-commerce and different things, MLM, Amway, and all those things. So while I was doing those, like trying different things, I landed on this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. So that's when the whole the 360, because all of a sudden, coming from a below average financially below average family. No one taught us these things, right? Like, because I grew up with a mindset of, buying a house and car, then you're set for life. Married and have kids, 2 kids. If you have a house, if you have a car and married and have 2 kids, then your life
good.
is you're good. That's how I was taught throughout my life.
Yeah.
So just getting out of debt and owning the houses was the only goal. But all of a sudden, this book, Robert Kiyosaki talks, buying a house, great, but it's not an asset. So that means you have to work forever. So you rather build assets, get rid of liabilities. The less liabilities you have, the more assets you have, the more freedom you have. I'm like, holy cow, that makes sense. So, and then in the book, he continues to talk about like real estate, rental properties or assets, because they put money back. And that's when I Googled, how to buy rental properties in Canada, because I didn't had any friends. I didn't had any money, because this is in between of like, I just about to pay off the 50,000. Yeah. And I was prepared to save up for the future debts. So this was at that time, it is 2016.
Yeah.
So then I picked up another book called Investing in Rental Properties by Brandon Turner.
Yeah. Bigger
the
Pockets.
guy from Bigger Pockets. Yes.
Yeah.
So I picked up that book and I was reading, he talks about like how you can buy with FHA loans. So in Canada,
it's different.
CMHC. Yeah. But it's almost the same thing. You can buy a house for like 5% down.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fantastic. I didn't know this. Because when you don't have any family or friends here who own properties, how do you know, right? So because my network was only just my friends who were almost at my age, who came to Canada as a student. So they're also still struggling to find a job and all those things.
You're still young, by the way. You're 28 or 29?
Now I'm 32.
32, still young.
Yeah. So when I got in, it was like 27. In 2017. So long story short, like, I one after the other got into that reading, got into Bigger Pockets and listening to podcasts. And then I said, this definitely that 5% down concept exists. And in Windsor, luckily I was in Windsor, where the prices at that point was like, I could get a duplex that needs some love around 100,000. So
18, I think.
Yeah, 2017.
17? Okay.
Yeah, I got my first duplex on 2017, March 1st. So for 102,000, because all I need is 5% down. And the cool thing is the banks will even lend for improvements because I had a job. That was the biggest leverage I had. So that books taught me, this is possible. Go find some local realtor and he gives like the Brandon Turner gives like such a detailed steps on how he did his first deal and all those things. So that's how I got into investing. That's I know it's a long story.
It's a basic for single family home or duplexes or small multifamily.
Yeah. And the first property, like that was the eye opener for me. I was paying like rent before I got the property. I was paying like $900 or $850 and plus utilities. So it was almost like 1,100 something. But here, the property, I moved into 1-bedroom unit. I rented out the 3-bedroom unit. That the rent from 3-bedroom unit is paying off all the expenses.
So you followed his concept of house hacking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. So that went like, oh my God, like, now I'm living for free.
Yeah.
So I all of a sudden bring my expenses down by $1,100 to $1,200. Yeah. This is amazing. What if I can do like a couple of them like this? What if I have like, like the financial freedom thing started to pop in, like, I want to do maybe, I want to have like a cash flow of $5,000. So now I can quit my job.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
So I started initially buying duplexes. Again, the biggest challenge, like I mentioned, the finances. Yeah, so that's how I got into sales, because, I couldn't think of any other way to increase my income, because IT was limiting me. Just 4,000, I cannot make anymore. But in the sales, I saw like, if I make one sale, even if it's 100,000 sale, I can make 2,500.
Yeah.
2.5 commission. So if I make like 3 or 4 sales like that, I can make 10,000. So double my salary. What if I sell 200,000 property, 2 of them? So the numbers were making much more sense for me to continue to invest. So I was reading books and learning and networking with people, and while I'm doing this, so I got and instead of waiting, that's one good thing I have done is like, instead of waiting for money, because I didn't have savings, before I got my license in Canada takes like 6 months. So
back then, now is more than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this time period, like I learned also about JVs. So
yeah.
I spoke to a couple of my parents. Hey, here, I bought this duplex. This is how much it's making. And I got another duplex after that, 6 months after saving some more money, because like I mentioned, the duplexes here at that time, like my second duplex were 160,000.
Yeah.
And it was making positive $1,000 cash flow while we moved into one of the bedroom.
Yeah.
So now my other duplex is making positive cash flow, and this duplex is also making positive cash flow, and we are living for free. So at that time, I was like at almost 1,800 or something positive cash flow, plus living for free.
So it opened your eyes on real estate market and how you can make wealth from having an actual portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I pitched it to a couple of my friends. Hey, this is what we can do. And maybe, you don't worry about anything. You just give me money. I'll do it, all the things, because now I have friends who can help me find the properties. Now I have friends who can help me with take care of the renovations and all those things. So, and one of my cousin's friend, he said, okay, I'll give you 50,000. Show me what you can do.
Okay.
So now I got into JV and burst strategy. So we got a single family. Because the 40,000 I had to get the renovations and plus the purchase.
Yeah.
So again, this is still in 2018. So I got like 100,000 property, 20,000 down, and 20,000 renovations within like 6 months. 6 months or 7 months, I got him out, his money out, and he still got. I gave him. It was my first project, so he believed in me. So I said, okay, 60% profit share for you.
Yeah, 60-40.
Yeah. So I took 40%. I gave him 60% because, you trusted, you are the first one who trusted me. Yes. Because, that's a lot of money for me at that time. Yeah. Still, that's someone trusting. And then because he was happy within 6 months, he gave me another 200,000. We bought another duplex for cash and improved within like, again, 6 months or 8 months, we took his money out again. So that was like, lot more eye-opening. So that's when I started to get into small multifamily until I got kicked out by the banks. Start to say, I mean, not kicked out, they still lend me, but banks started to give iffy when you have like multiple properties. So
less than 5 units.
Yeah, less than 5 units. So that's when I got a 17-unit building in 2020. So that was another great journey. So if you want me to go in deeper, but
no, I will go one in one. But
sure.
Before doing this, we wanna start with what is your target market and criteria right now on multifamily? Like, are you keep working only on Windsor and the surrounding area, or it's about cap rate and cash on cash?
So basically, my goal is to burn the project. I don't look at the cap rate. I don't look at the cash flow. My main focus is, I should not say I don't look at it, but my focus, the but the goal from any multifamily that I have done so far, except the first couple of them, because first couple of them I didn't have a proper goal. But now my goal is to, any multifamily I'm doing, how can I pull my money out? How long does it take to get the money out? If it's my money or investors' money, right? I want that to be out. If I can pull it in year or two. If it's a larger building, it takes longer. But if I can get this money out in 1 to 2 years, and after refinancing, can I still make positive cash flow? Because once the money is out, and if it's still positive cash flow, then my investors have infinity returns because they have their money out. So they're happy. They don't care. Now they're not going to bug me anymore. And for me, even if it's my own money, now I have my money back. I can go invest somewhere else, and the building is positive cash flow, and I can continue to improve along the way. So that's my main criteria. So in order to achieve that, that's where I look at the cap rate. So what's the current market cap rate that I'm buying it, and to refinance, what are the banks are willing to, refinance me at? That's when I will, dig more into the building, the last project I have done, where the 17-unit building, the cap rate in the market to refinance, the banks were looking around 5 cap rate. Okay. So that means how much rent should I increase? So I do reverse engineering. So what's the potential? How much can I increase the rent on each unit so that I can get to 5 cap rate to pull my money out? If it still makes sense in that, with that reverse engineering, that's the project that I'm ideally looking for. So far, my focus has been around Windsor, Essex.
Oh, okay. Okay. So how many units under management so far?
I have 48.
48. This, like, how many buildings? Is 2 or?
No. So the biggest one is a 17-unit building, and then like 6-unit building, and the rest everything is like 2 units, 1 unit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now I'm working on a 27-unit building. We have it on contract. Okay. Haven't closed it, so that's the current project I'm working on. So
you're busy with raising capital and due diligence and all of the fun stuff.
Yeah. Pretty much the due diligence is over.
Okay.
We got the inspection done. we got the vendor. Yeah. So environmental was not needed because we got the vendor take back from the seller. Okay. So seller is lending us 70% loan to value. So that's good. Yeah. The biggest thing is right now we are working on trying to negotiate with the tenant, see if we can get some out now, because the tenant law in Ontario is.
Yeah. This is basically my next question.
Yeah. So that's what we are working on. One, raising the capital, because that's a high priority. The closing is coming in June.
Okay.
Yeah, end of June is the closing. So and the location is pretty prime. We got a pretty good price. Like in the market, the building like that is going for 200 per door. We got it for 100. We got it for 140 per door.
Oh, in Windsor.
Yes. In Windsor, yes.
That's a really good price.
Yeah.
The challenge only is going to be the cash for keys.
Yeah, that's exactly. Good thing is at least I did that test and trial on my other building. And also my partner on that project, he has a couple of buildings. He did successfully in a couple of other projects. So we are pretty positive. Like even if we get like 40% upgrades, like 40% units out, or maybe negotiate a new lease. It doesn't have to be, they have to be out. Even if we can just negotiate for new lease, even for like $1,100 per door, from 700, 600 to 1,100. The market rents are like around 1,300. We just want to get to 1,100, 40% of it, we will be able to refinance and take the money out.
So what is the current cash for keys right now on Windsor? Is like 15, 20? Like here in Ontario, like Mississauga, we're talking about 30,000 for cash for keys.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, again, so there is no specific number, honestly. I had success with $1,000.
Okay.
I didn't had success even if I offered like 10,000.
Oh, okay.
Because in my 17-unit building, a couple of them were like in 60s, 65, and they're paying $550, including utilities and the baseboard heating.
Okay.
So technically, I'm making only like $300 or $350 after paying the hydro bills for them.
Yeah.
So they're like, where do you want us to go? Even if you pay us 10,000, we have to pay 1,300, 1,200 out there. Yeah. So that's only for 200 to 1 year, 2 years.
And then I have to carry over all of this. Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. No, but again, that's it's that's where we got to look at what type of tenants in each building, right? So that's one thing I started to look into. Okay, if I'm looking at any building, I like to go see the units before even I make an offer, because I know what type of people living there. Because there are certain category of people that no matter how much money you offer, they are not going to go.
100%. So for this subject, I think what was the challenge you think is like existing now on south of Ontario or Windsor especially versus like Alberta market, especially it's tough. You're comparing between appreciation and no rent and rent control, whereas Alberta, there's no rent control, but it's really nothing, no appreciation at all. So
yeah,
how you make this balance on deciding which markets you're gonna go with?
I mean, so a dummy answer here is like I think I was in Windsor when I started, and I fall in love with Windsor. So I never really took time to or think about the outside the market, because I was already busy with the existing market. And I have been seeing, like, since I'm here in Windsor from 2014, I have seen the population grow like just with my own eyes, because I'm this brown skin, and I couldn't find brown skin in Windsor region, and no restaurants, Indian restaurants. I'm a foodie. I would love to get biryani and all, but I couldn't find at that time. Yeah. Now I have like 10 to 12 restaurants.
Oh, okay.
And from those 10 to 12, like 3 to 4 of them are from my like native place.
It's good biryani.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, good to hear.
So that I have seen the growth, right? Like the population growth happening because of being close to border, Detroit being, coming up with this electrical vehicles, the job opportunities in IT sector,
the bridge, I think.
Hospital.
Okay. The new bridge also. There's a new
bridge. The new bridge construction is already started a while ago now. Yeah. And the mega hospital has been already approved. It's in stage 2. They're breaking the ground probably next year. Something they're planning to complete it by 2027. So there's a lot of growth happening. Because Windsor, again, when you don't know, you don't know. When I started, I didn't know that Windsor has the highest unemployment rate, highest unemployment rate. But I didn't care, because I know at that time, even the vacancy was like, at that time, 2017, 16, probably like 5% or 6%. And now it's like 2%. And 2 or 3, those units that are like not taken care, they're asking too much rent. Yeah. Those are the ones that's staying on the market. So again, that's one of the reasons why I didn't really looked at other markets. But that's a common question I've been getting. Do I go to Alberta or stay here?
Or US?
For our US, right? That's because we are right on the border. Yeah. I mean, again, when there were opportunities in my own backyard, I would not look at other. I mean, I will look into it. I'll find. I have done pre-constructions all over Canada, like Burlington, Paris, Ontario, Calgary. I have pre-constructions, but resale all of
mostly
them
Windsor.
Windsor, Essex.
Okay, going back to the realtor part of your job, which is, if I'm asking you, what is the challenging neighborhoods in Windsor right now to buy or invest, especially on the multifamily side? Because me personally, I prefer B building on a C area. B area, C building, so you can have potential to add what, as we said, the game is on force appreciation, so you can pull your money, make your investor happy, and so on. So whereas in Windsor you can find this like formula, whereas a B building, C
type
area,
of building,
C building.
B neighborhood.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of neighborhoods like that. One of the most popular one for multifamily is Walkerville area, because it's very desirable location, but at the same time it's an older neighborhood where a lot of buildings do need a love, the improvements, and around university, that's another area where it's still old part of the Windsor. where it's a good neighborhood because it's a university area, but they're older homes where need a lot of love. And also East Windsor, that is like further down down the Walkerville, where unfortunately in Windsor, it's pretty weird. Like the good neighborhoods doesn't have that many multifamily buildings.
It's
At
the
least,
East Windsor is like beside GE factory.
yeah. So pretty much like passed by Ford factory, the
Yeah.
Ford City.
Ford, I'm sorry, I'm not Ford.
Yeah. So Ford City is where right now people consider it as like a C neighborhood.
Okay.
But it's coming quite a lot. Like if you want something for cheaper, where you want to improve and get a decent rents, like a good cash flow, probably that's one neighborhood where you will get C type of properties, and you can make it B type and get B tenants.
Yeah.
But the location is like still like coming up.
So what is the price range right now per door for this kind of neighborhoods? Per door, average wise?
If it's in a C neighborhood, so I'll be here more specific. So multifamily, first of all, the inventory of multifamily is pretty low in Windsor.
Yeah.
Like over 6 units. You don't come across like, there will be hardly less than 5 to 10 buildings on the market, not more than that.
Wow.
So it's quite a less inventory for multifamily.
So you have 2 buildings of 8 or 10 buildings?
No. Inventory on the market, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not referring to the buildings in the whole city. I'm referring to the inventory that comes onto the market.
Oh, yeah.
So the availability is less. So the properties doesn't come up for sale that often.
Yeah.
Especially in good neighborhoods, I rarely see. So for the price point, when it comes to price point, probably if you're looking in a C neighborhood, you can get around like 150, 120, 100, and probably 120 is no more, maybe 150 give or take.
Yeah.
But but depends on, like I have seen even in C neighborhood, there was a building recently sold. That was the only one that I have seen in last 2 years came onto the market over 20 units.
20, okay.
Over 20 units. So multifamilies are very less coming.
Unique subject, yeah.
Yeah.
Unique
So this
market.
this one was a C type of neighborhood, but the building was pretty well maintained, clean and all. And it was like 31 units, went for like 200 per door.
Okay. But there's no benefit.
And the income is like literally, if you do the cap rate,
they
bought it based on the potential.
Not the cap rate. So
it's the income is like net income was around 120 something.
Okay. NOI.
Okay. Yeah. And net operating income. So after expenses, it was pretty less because it's all baseboard heating, but the building was solid. So probably the properties like that, right? Like if they're in a C neighborhood, but they're in a newer buildings in a good condition, then you're looking somewhere from 170 to 200 per door
for B buildings.
Yeah, B buildings, exactly. For C buildings, probably you're looking from 150, 40 to 160, 70.
Okay. So jumping back to the actual market in general. So after the new spike of the interest, how you see Windsor market, like inventory wise, price wise, especially for single family and duplexes and triplexes. We can focus on the small multifamily and the market in general.
Yeah, sure. So the residential, right? Like, so those are like residential properties.
Yeah.
Definitely we have seen the market softening quite a bit, especially in last 3 to 4 weeks, we have seen 5 to 10% drop in prices.
Okay.
Yeah. And the inventory has gone up by like 20%, 18% in specific, like exact number for April month.
I think the market started to slow down on February a little bit in all markets, not only Windsor.
Yeah.
All over Canada.
No, February was pretty good for Windsor. Even March was pretty good. The average home price in March went up. From February to March, it went up from 690 to 723. Whoa. And then from March to April, that's when we started to see the decline, because the inventory in Windsor till March was low.
so far, I want to understand why all of the realtors start with a low price and then 200 and 300 over asking. Why, especially on Windsor, the realtors approaching this way? Like I've been in Hamilton. Usually, you go under asking like 100 grand, and that's it. But in Windsor, it's really unique approach for all of the realtors. Not you. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
no,
long
trust me.
time back.
You remember the building I just mentioned, the 31
Yeah.
unit building? They
Yeah.
listed for they listed for 1.69 or 1.79, and it
17
sold
unit?
for it's 31 units,
31 unit. Okay.
and they
One.
sold for 6.25, 1.7 to 6.25 sold.
Why? Like I don't
No clue.
understand the actual like strategy, like
So
especially in Windsor.
so just what I have seen, right? Like
Yeah.
personally, I have quite a bit of listings on the market. Like
Yeah.
right now, we have like 12 listings on the market active right now.
Okay.
So I tried different strategies, right? One thing we have seen, because the listing low strategy works well in Windsor. At least that's what I have noticed. I don't know, it's weird. Buyers don't look at the properties. If I list it for like, selling for asking price, no bidding wars, nothing. I don't get showings. If I list it for like 50,000 or 100,000 lower, the showings are very low.
Okay.
And I'm still not getting prices. And I'm not talking about this one current market situation. Current market situation, no matter what you do, very few properties are getting bidding wars. Most of the properties are not getting bidding wars. Yeah. So even before, this craziness, right? Like before it kind of, the market shifted, even then, same thing. Like if we don't price it right, if we don't price it like, let's say an average home is selling for 100,000 over asking. If we list it for only 50,000 less than the market value, the showings are drastically low. Maybe I'm thinking consciously, subconsciously, most of the buyers are thinking, oh, most of the properties are going for 100,000 over asking. So now I have to look at the property that is listed for, let's say if my budget is 600,000, I got it for the properties that are listed for 499.
Yeah, because eventually this is going to be in my budget.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that might be a reason. So now when I'm talking to a seller, if in order for me to, sell that property for my seller, I have to price it according to the market.
Yeah.
If I price it, maybe not in a right way, then I have seen properties sit longer. In the past, like when sometimes I try to, play with it just to find what kind of, approach is working out well. Properties sometimes, when we listed for like, let's say when the average home prices are selling 200,000 over asking, and I listed for like 100,000 over, I can see if I would get 200,000 still. And I ended up have to relist it with again 200,000 over asking, and surprisingly sells immediately within a couple of days after I do that.
I remember I was looking on a duplex side by side on 2020 on Windsor beside the Ford factory. It was listed 395 and it sold 625. 235,000 or more, 240,000 over asking. So it was crazy. Like I think it's still the same approach, but as you said, I'm not gonna say it's a buyer market. It's neutral market.
Yeah, it's kind of softening, right? Like, so definitely still bidding wars happening. Maybe before, out of 10 properties, 7 properties, 8 properties used to get the bidding war. Now I'm seeing maybe like 4 properties are getting the bidding wars, and the other properties are taking a little longer than before. So before we used to sell like in a week or at the most 10 days, 12 days, but now definitely it's taking 20, 25 days. And there is definitely a change in the price, right? Like the expectations, because that first of all, the December to February month, that spike was unreasonable. So that spike is kind of chopped off. So that was like unexpected spike. And now we are back to that December month where the prices were in December and November. that's the prices we are seeing that
And
properties
hoping
are
for the
selling.
best in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I was trying to jump to another subject, which is your biggest deal so far. If we can analyze one of the deal, how you got the deal, what was the upside, how long it take you to decide that this is the deal for me? Like, what was the process of your underwriting to say that, okay,
Sure.
I'm gonna submit an offer on this,
Yeah,
especially
so
the biggest deal?
the biggest deal is my 17 unit building.
Yeah.
The 27 unit building, we haven't closed it. So I don't want to call it as a
As a deal.
my deal yet, because anything could happen before closing.
We hope the best.
So the 17 unit building, this one is in 2020 December. This property came on the market in almost August, like 4 or 5 months prior, before I closed. So initially, when it came onto the market, they listed for 1.7 million. It was 17 unit building, so they listed for 100,000 per unit.
Yeah.
And the income is very poor.
Okay.
The income was like literally out of 17 unit, 14 units were rented. And
so what was the actual percentage of expenses to income?
Yeah. So it was minus $4,000.
Who?
At the interest rate at that point, with the expenses, it was minus 4,000.
Okay.
So there is no income because the rents were like less than $600 per door.
Okay.
And it's baseboard heating. Owner is paying for utilities.
Okay. So this was really poor the management.
Very poor management.
Okay.
And there were 3 units. I have a video on my YouTube channel. The units are like, you would not even enter into it.
Okay.
Very rough.
Okay. And someone was there already, or it's like a
no, the one that
ones?
are vacant.
Oh, okay, it's a vacant one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even bother doing a deep cleaning. It was very rough. Like, trust me, I'll give you I'll send you.
I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it.
So it was minus $4,000, and the rents, the property was poorly managed, all including utilities. It's only baseboard heating. Sorry, it's baseboard heating and only 1 meter.
Okay.
1 meter for whole building.
Okay. So it's not only water, it's water and heat.
Correct. The electricity. So the heating and there is no gas in the building. So it's all heated by electricity, the baseboards.
Yeah.
So the expenses are pretty high. Yeah. The income is pretty low.
So it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
Yeah. It is.
But someone who can, first of all, getting a mortgage is challenge on that building.
Yeah, because of the vacancy rate, I think.
Yeah, because there is no income, right? So the lenders are looking at least a certain X amount of income. But so when this was presented, I was not ready for a bigger building like this. So I was not looking for building for myself. So I presented it to one of my client. We made an offer for that client. I made an offer for 1.65 or for my client with a VTB.
Okay.
So we presented an offer and there were 3 offers. Ours was one of the 3 offers. So the property listed for 1.7 and they ended up taking 1.3 million cash offer. Ours was 1.66 or 65, close to asking price. But we asked for vendor take back. We asked for 10 or 15 days inspection condition and all those things.
Okay.
So they took no conditional offer for 1.3, like almost 200 or 300,000 less than what we offered.
And cash. So no conditions, firm.
Wow. Yeah. We don't know if it's cash or not, right? Like, people say no condition. That means they're making cash offer. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
And now I thought pretty much the property sold. I told the agent, hey, if there is any changes, give me a call. I was enthusiastic. I always talk to the realtors, you're my colleague. I want to help you sell. So a pretty nice guy. And unfortunately, the deal didn't go through. After 2 months, I get a call before he went back and listed the property on the market. He called me up. He says, hey, just FYI, we accepted at that time no conditional offer for 1.3, like you have seen on the MLS. So, but the offer looks like it's going to fall through in a week. So the closing is about to be in a week. So now I'm like, I called my client, hey, these guys are saying, if you make an offer he said, like, if you bring 1.3, no conditions, I'll take your offer. If not, we are going back onto the market. And by then, if you remember, every month the market was going up.
Yeah.
The interests were more and more. So
end of 2020, correct?
Yeah, this is almost
it was crazy.
So almost in November in 2020, where initially when they sold is like in August or before August. So the market already appreciated while they're waiting. Yeah. And when this guy said, oh, I want to sell it, either I'm going to go put it on the market or ask your buyer to bring back 1.3, no conditions. I'm like, I called my client. He says, Aditya, I just got another 50 unit building. I'm good for now.
Okay.
I don't want it. So I'm like, okay, this one. And at that time I didn't had money, but for me, I'm looking at the numbers, right? Like, so the vacant units were 3. And he said 2 more units might leave soon. If you do some cash for key, they'll leave. So I was just doing my numbers on, okay, if I update this 5 units, what would my numbers? So can I just break even or positive cash flow if I do this 5? And if I can get a couple more units vacant, so can I pull my money out? That was my ideology at that time. So it made a lot of sense because the building is super solid, purpose built, all brick, steep roof, hash fall single, not even flat roof, which I hate because it's a lot more expensive to manage.
Maintain.
And the units are pretty good size, and the location is pretty good because it's almost less than 1 kilometer from university.
Okay, so it's the west of Windsor.
It's in the western, yes.
Yeah,
it's not the sandwich town. Pretty much in between downtown and the college. In between that, it's pretty close to university.
Okay.
So pretty good location, and my house is literally like 600-700 meters from that building. So I live nearby.
You're not gonna manage it, of course.
No, of course. I learned my lesson from the first project. Yeah. So everything making sense, like, the numbers making sense. The building is solid. There is a lot of room to increase, and expenses. I know for sure I can reduce the expenses by first split the meters.
Oh, correct. 100%.
Yeah. And I wanted that confirmation. So when my client said no, I called up one of my friends because I couldn't pull. This is a lot of money and I don't know how much down payment I would need. I was just projecting based on 30% down payment I need.
But first of all, this was my first question. Which lender was approved you on this condition?
Good question, right? Basically, I was working with a mortgage broker at that time. He looked at my profile and I pitched it to one of my friends. Because this time I didn't went for investors because that was the biggest deal I ever done. So I didn't want to go to investors, ask for money. I said, I'll put my money and I want someone with the same, financially good, stable person. And I found another friend who was like, we were talking for a while before. So he said, yeah, let's go for it. Without even talking too much, he's like just within 2-3 minutes call. Yeah, let's do it. And then we both have a good, consistent active income and have a bunch of properties. So the mortgage broker looked at the deal. I put it on contract because the listing agent, he said, I have to go for no conditions offer.
Yes.
But I said, you have another 7 days for other offer to fell through. Why don't we put conditional upon inspection and financing and the other offer fell through for this 7 days?
Only 7 days.
Only 7 days.
Anyway, it's aggressive. But
it's aggressive
again, it's based on the market time. It was
at that time. At that time, if that went back onto the market, I'm pretty sure it would have sold for 1.7, 1.8. Because after 2 months, my neighbor property came onto the market, same rent, same situation, kind of give or take, exact similar building, sold for 2.2 just few months after. Yeah. Okay. So I know because, I was in the market as an active agent, right? So I know how much properties were selling for. I was very sure if this one goes onto the market, it will go at least 300,000-400,000 more. So I told myself in the worst case scenario, I'll get a private money, close it, and sell it on the market.
So how you close on the deal again with the
So
lender? Like it
that's
was like
so that's where the challenge, right? So
yeah,
the
cross
broker,
collateral or what?
no. So first I went for the broker. The
Okay.
broker looked at the deal. He looked at my profile and my partner's profile.
Yeah.
He said, you know what, so one good thing for me with this building was I had my HST money and my tax money from the real estate commission saved
Okay.
up to pay for next year, because this is end of 2020. So I have that year was pretty good year for me. I was like, I sold 100 properties that year. So my gross
300.
commission was $500,000, and there was no corporation at that time.
Okay.
So $500,000 gross commission, and out of that, probably net income is at least 350, 400,000. So that means my tax money itself is 200,000.
Yeah.
So tax and HST. So that money, I'm a frugal guy. I don't want to get, run around at the end, because the tax is coming. I always saved that money up. And now when this deal came up, oh my God. So now I have to use this money. So I'm showing this as my savings.
Okay.
So, because again, technically they are my savings until the tax year comes in, until I pay the tax.
Yes.
So, and for my friend, same thing. He has the down payment, almost 200,000. I have down payment, almost 200,000. So we approached the broker. He said, yeah, everything is fine. From what I can see, I think I can get you a lender for 70% verbal commitment, right? No actual written commitment.
Because it's taking time. With the lender is like 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But we only have 1 week to make a 100% decision. So this, because being a realtor, that's good part, like now the connections, right? So I give him a lot of business. So he took time to look at it and review and said, okay, you're good too. I think you guys are good. I cannot get you a written commitment, but you're good.
Okay.
But again, the story haven't over there yet. So at least financing check mark looks okay. 70%, because that's what we are doing our numbers at. If we get 70%, in the worst case scenario, if we have to go for 65, we can pull the triggers. We don't have money for renovations, which
this is another point.
So which we are banking on our future income from the sales.
Okay.
Because even the other partner is also a realtor.
Okay. Okay. So, by the way, it was the hard money, or it was lender A? Lender A?
It's so the broker was referring to A lender or B lender.
Okay. No hard money, no Mac.
No. At that, no. I'm a big believer. I try to leverage. I don't go for crazy leverages. Okay. I don't like the crazy leverage like private lending. Only in the worst case scenario, I like to go for private lenders.
If you cannot close.
If I cannot close, because that's when I will, probably it's my time to go for private lender. And thank God it didn't happen that way. But so long story short, like we removed the conditions because the inspection came very well. I got the electrician. He said, yeah, for sure, we can do the separation of the hydrometers, because that's what's my big thing. I want to separate the hydrometers, or else the expenses is not going to go down. So I want to start putting, like, at least for the vacant units, they pay for their own hydro. So that way my expense is coming down by probably close to 1/4 down, which is
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Because, every penny counts for multifamily, the income and the expenses count, right? So that one, and the units needed like probably 20,000, 25,000 per unit to do the renovations, which we said, okay, we can take care of that part, even if we have to refinance or sell one of our property, because he had like 6-7 properties. I had 7-8 properties at that time. So, if I have to sell 1 or 2, I don't mind, because this is such a beauty for long run. Because
you just said that in 4 months it became 2.2.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a beauty. It's a solid building, and we are buying it for right price, 1.3, which is 76,000 per door. And at that time, already in the market, the units are going for 100, 110, something like that.
Yeah.
Even with that stupid rents.
Yeah.
So we removed the conditions finally, and the offer fell through. Yeah.
So you didn't even put the 7 days.
within that 7 days, we removed the condition.
Okay.
We put the 7 days, and the offer fell through because the offer becomes only form once that offer fell through, and we removed the inspection condition. So which we did, because the other realtor, he's being pretty smart, because he don't want to do work. He don't want to go put it on the market. He don't have patience. He's just pushing hard, like, hey, if you don't remove the conditions, I think, there was another backup offer came in. If we don't remove the conditions, the backup offer is a cash offer.
Okay. So he pushed you hard.
He pushed us very
put you
hard.
on the edge now, or never.
Yes. So thank God I made the decision. But the underwriting was the biggest lot of lesson learning for me. So the broker who said that he can do it, it took like 3 weeks, 4 weeks passed by, 5 weeks passed by, no update from him, because the lenders are taking so long. They haven't given any written commitment. Now I started to get very, very unhappy, furious, anxiety. Everything is kicking in because the closing is 3 weeks from now, and no commitment from any lender.
Okay.
So I pinched him so hard, and he said, okay, here's my contact from CABC Bank. Go talk to them.
The broker himself told you that?
Yeah, he gave me contact for CABC Bank, because he had good connections with the CABC.
Okay.
And I got so lucky. Trust me, I would not suggest this for anyone to do this way, but we got lucky. And the person at the CABC, this guy knows me. He's been following me on YouTube, and he's a regional manager. And at that time, he's dealing with working with the mortgage, like the banks, they don't call them mortgage agents. They're like more financial advisors for this kind of deals, for commercial. So so he's dealing with that person, and this guy knows me. So he wanted to build a relation with me, because he was about to get into mortgages agent.
Okay.
He was about to become a mortgage agent. So he wanted a good relation with a realtor. So he called me up after we sent the deal to them within a day or two, and we had a coffee and we talked. Oh, you know what? Help me with this. I'm in a pretty big shit here. If you don't help me, I'm screwed up. He's like, they were like, thanks to them, like they were super, super, super quick. Within 2 weeks, they got me approved.
Really?
Yeah, CABC, because the mortgage is under $1 million. It was 1.3 million. But because the mortgage, they approved me.
It's less than $1 million, then it's easier to. Okay, because you're gonna chip in was 400.
Yes. So when the mortgage is under $1 million, they can underwrite not just based on the income, but the profile of the
profile of you. Yeah,
yes,
actual.
Me and my partner.
So you didn't have any backup plan with private money back then?
I mean, I spoke to a couple of private lenders.
Oh, okay.
I like to keep backup plans for sure, because the mortgage broker, I told him, what's the worst case scenario here? He said, I have a couple of private lenders, and I had like one connection with my good friend of mine. They're a group of people. They lend out for people, but they're pretty expensive, 15%.
Wow.
Especially for like 2-3 months or 1 year.
Also, okay.
Yeah. So again, depends on how much VTB, how much mortgage, how much per loan to value we want.
Yeah, right? The LTV percentage, and for how long?
Yeah, exactly. So
the fees is too much anyway. The fees itself to close the deal is far from the interest itself. So
exactly. So we got lucky. The CABC, thanks to he became a mortgage agent. Now he's my preferred guy, because he pulled the strings within like 2 weeks. I
good to hear. Good to hear.
So the long story short about the whole underwriting process, right? There is definitely solutions out there.
It's expensive.
Initially, I used to think that every lenders are same.
Yeah.
But every lender has a different policies.
Yeah.
Every bank has their own policies. In some ways, they're different. Some ways they're similar in some other ways. But if you don't talk to people, if you don't find ways to, get in touch with people who does this type of deals more often, the more trouble you get in. So that's when I started to make connections with good people who are in different banks. I don't want to ever go back to that situation because it's very, very, very stressful
Yeah.
process.
Not 2 days. It's like 2 months, almost 8 weeks until you closed. Yeah. My next question is, I think it's really important to audiences, is mentorship. So can you tell me who was like influential mentor, and if you keep doing like a actual coaching program for yourself? By the way, did you been on the multifamily investment conference this week or not?
Yeah, I didn't go there, but Seth Ferguson, he's my good friend.
Is
The host. Yeah.
I saw your picture, not your picture. Your video was in his, I think, mastermind
I
course.
was on his, yes.
I think,
and also I was on his podcast like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So coaching.
So going back to the coaching question, right? Like, so I'm super lucky in that like sense. I found my mentors in a very early in my career, just luckily, because like I mentioned, I was on Bigger Pockets, right?
Yeah.
And the Bigger Pockets, I was looking for like a group in Windsor. And my realtor at that time, who started the first meetup for investors.
Okay.
And her boyfriend, they owned like 6 or 7 duplexes at that time.
Okay. Long time back?
Yeah, in 2016.
Oh, okay.
So they already owned, and they were like very young. So they're 28 now. And so this is like, so they're 23 or 22. They looked like kids, but they already owned, like, they have done a lot of things. And I was like 4 years older than them. So when they hosted that meetup, I saw that, like, okay, me and my wife, the only other members on the first meetup. So her and her boyfriend. So long story short, they became my very good friends and mentors. Like, she was my realtor until I got my license. And even after I got my license, I joined her team until she quit the real estate and gave the team to me. And she went on traveling the world.
Okay.
So they were my, big mentors. And along the way, books, the biggest mentors for me. Like, I read a lot.
So what is the best real estate multifamily book for you so far, for multifamily?
The one written by Brand Turner.
The latest one?
Yeah, the latest one. Yes. That one. But also there was another book, investing in small multifamily.
Both of them is Brandon Turner.
No, this one is not Brandon Turner. This one, let me see if I have it in here. No, it's not in here, but I don't remember the name. It's called Investing in Small Multifamily in specific. So that's why I stayed on duplexes and triplex for a long time, for like 2-3 years, because I read that book and it made a lot of sense. Small multifamilies makes a lot of sense to continue until the banks start to give a iffy. But that's my favorite book. And there are a lot of Bigger Pockets podcast. That's the biggest influence. All the multifamily videos that the podcast about multifamilies, trust me, I have heard all of them.
Okay. I think the latest question will be how the people can follow you and follow your success.
Yeah, sure. One of the way I do is like on YouTube. I share all my stories, good thing, bad things, everything, very transparently on my YouTube channel.
We hope only good things happen to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, come on. If only good things happen to us, then we are not human beings, probably. Or I'm lying. There are definitely a lot of not so good things. You'll learn along the way, right?
100%.
So YouTube or Instagram, those are very active. I'm active there.
Great. Again, thanks a lot for your time today, and we're really happy to bring you again to talk about Windsor Market, what's happening, and hopefully we see another spike, but for sales on summer. And appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun here.
Thanks a lot.